Patience is not only required in hardship, but is equally necessary during times of ease, success, and comfort. Many people associate patience solely with enduring pain or difficulty. But one of the greatest tests of life is what we do when everything seems to be going our way. During moments of happiness, wealth, recognition, or power, patience is what helps keep us grounded. It prevents us from becoming arrogant, forgetful of Allah, or distracted by the temporary joys of this world. Ease and prosperity or blessings from Allah, but they are also a test. They can lead people to pride and disobedience if not handled with care. Patience in such times is about remaining humble, consistent in worship, and mindful of where the blessings came from.
When life becomes easy, some people begin to slacken their prayers, forget to make dua, and reduce their acts of worship. They start attributing their success to their own intelligence, efforts, or connections. This is a very subtle but dangerous trap. Forgetting Allah during times of ease is a sign of spiritual blindness. True believers are those who remember Allah in both hardship and comfort. Patience during ease means resisting the illusion that we are self-sufficient. It is to constantly remind ourselves that everything we have, our health, wealth, peace, and position, is from Allah, and it can all be taken away in an instant. Gratitude must be shown not just in words but in action, by using the blessings for good, staying away from arrogance, and fulfilling the rights of others.
Patience in prosperity also means avoiding sin when temptation is high. When someone has power, wealth, or influence, they are more likely to be tested with opportunities to commit injustice or indulge in forbidden pleasures. Without patience, they may fall into these traps and lose the very blessings they were given. But when they practice restraint, they show Allah that they value His pleasure more than their own desires. This type of patience, controlling oneself when one has the means to act wrongly, is a sign of deep taqwa, God consciousness. The Prophet said that among the 7 who will be shaded on the Day of Judgment is a man who was tempted by a woman of beauty and status, but said, "I fear Allah." That is patience at its highest level.
Moreover, patience during times of ease helps us stay consistent. It is easy to be devoted to Allah when you are in need. But to maintain that devotion when you are comfortable, when your du'as have been answered, and when life is smooth, that is a greater test. Many people forget Allah once their problems are solved. They stop praying with urgency. They become distracted by luxury, and they lose their spiritual hunger. This shows that their connection with Allah was based on need rather than love. But the one who remains patient in ease, who continues to worship with sincerity, and who does not let blessings distract them, proves that their faith is genuine.
Another form of patience in ease is being patient with others despite having the upper hand. When you have authority over people, whether in a family, workplace, or society, you are tested with how you treat those who are beneath you in status. Patience here means avoiding harshness, being just, and forgiving when wronged. It is easy to oppress when you have power, but it takes patience and humility to act with compassion. Allah loves those who are fair and kind, especially when they have every opportunity to be otherwise. This form of patience strengthens relationships, builds trust, and earns the pleasure of Allah. So whether in difficulty or in comfort, patience remains the foundation of a strong believer. It keeps us balanced and mindful, preventing us from being crushed by trials or corrupted by blessings. The reward for patience in ease is just as great as in hardship, because it reflects a heart that remains connected to Allah at all times. Such a heart is truly successful, because it knows that the ultimate goal is not the highs or lows of this, but the everlasting joy of being near to Allah in the hereafter.
Success in the eyes of the world is often measured by achievements, wealth, power, or recognition. But in the eyes of Allah, success is something entirely different. It is not about how much you have, but about how close your heart is to Him. A person may live a life full of struggle, never gaining worldly fame or fortune, but if they live with patience, gratitude, and sincerity, they are far more successful than someone who owns the world but is disconnected from their Creator. Patience plays a major role in reaching this true form of success. It helps realign our priorities, reminding us that spiritual growth, inner peace, and divine acceptance are more valuable than any material possession or public praise.
A patient person sees success not just as an end result, but as a journey of remaining loyal to Allah through all phases of life. Even when they are afflicted with pain or loss, they maintain their faith. They continue to pray, continue to give thanks, and continue to strive in good deeds. They don't let their circumstances define their connection with Allah. This is a powerful state of being. It means their faith is not dependent on blessings but grounded in belief. That's the kind of success that truly matters. Being content with Allah's decree, trusting His plan,
and remaining steadfast in obedience to Him. There are many people in the world who appear successful but live in a state of inner emptiness. Their hearts are anxious, their relationships are broken, and their souls are restless. Why? Because they have chased everything except Allah. Without patience and gratitude, worldly success becomes meaningless. On the other hand, someone who has little in terms of wealth or status, but possesses patience and contentment, is rich in the truest sense. Their heart is at peace. They sleep with trust in Allah and wake up with gratitude. They are not enslaved to society's expectations, but are free in their faith and grounded in purpose. Patience helps you develop that kind of spiritual clarity. It teaches you that success is not about reaching a certain destination, but about how you carry yourself on the way. It's about continuing to do good, even when no one sees you. It's about holding on to hope, even when you're surrounded by darkness. It's about choosing righteousness over ease and sincerity over show. These are the signs of someone who is truly successful in the sight of Allah. The world may not applaud them, but the angels record their every effort, and Allah never lets any act go unnoticed. Moreover, patience helps prevent spiritual burnout. In a world that demands quick results and constant performance, patience allows a believer to pace themselves. It reminds you that your journey doesn't need to be rushed. What matters is consistency. A person who steadily works on their prayers, their character, and their connection with Allah without seeking fame or applause is far more likely to succeed in the long run than someone who does things only for temporary gain. Patience cultivates this consistency. It helps you stay on the path even when progress feels slow. Another reason why patience is central to true success is because it nurtures sincerity. When you're patient, you're not doing things to impress others or gain immediate reward. You're doing them for Allah, trusting that even if no one sees your struggle, He does. This purity of intention is what elevates actions in the eyes of Allah. It transforms even the smallest effort into a source of reward. That's the kind of success that endures, not just in this world, but in the hereafter. In conclusion, patience doesn't just help you endure hardship. It helps you redefine success. It shifts your focus from worldly validation to divine acceptance. It teaches you to find richness in your faith, strength in your surrender, and victory in your perseverance. So no matter what your external life looks like, if you are patient and sincere, then in the eyes of Allah, you are already successful. Patience is not only a tool for surviving hardship. It is also a means of refining the soul and developing strength from within. One of the most misunderstood aspects of patience is the belief that it is simply about tolerating pain or waiting for relief. In reality, patience is a form of active spiritual growth. When someone chooses to remain patient during a trial, they are engaging in a deep process of transformation. Every moment of pain, every tear shed in silence, and every whispered dua builds spiritual resilience. It's through these experiences that a believer becomes stronger, not just emotionally, but spiritually. Allah uses difficulties to develop qualities within us that cannot be learned in ease. Gratitude, humility, reliance on Him, and empathy for others often bloom in the soil of hardship. When life is comfortable and everything is going well, there is less pressure to look inward. But when you are tested, that is when the real growth begins. You start asking deeper questions, seeking comfort in prayer, and understanding the true meaning of surrender. Through patience, you begin to see life from a different perspective. You stop chasing immediate results and start trusting long-term divine wisdom. Your relationship with Allah becomes more intimate because you talk to Him more, cry to Him more, and rely on Him more. In this process, Allah strengthens your heart. He removes arrogance, purifies your intentions, and teaches you self-control. This is not a punishment, it is a preparation. Allah does not test us because He wants to break us. He tests us because He wants to build us. Just like a muscle grows stronger when pushed beyond its limits, the heart becomes stronger when it experiences trials. Every hardship is an opportunity to develop Sabr, and every moment of Sabr is an investment in your soul. The believer who endures difficulty with patience is not the same as the one who remains patient only in ease. The former walks through fire and comes out with a faith that is unshakable. This person understands that success is not just in getting what they want, but in becoming someone who trusts Allah in every condition. Patience also refines our character. It teaches us how to respond with dignity even when we are provoked. It helps us control our anger, resist the temptation to complain,
and maintain kindness in situations where others might react harshly. It teaches us the beauty of silence when speaking would cause harm. It teaches us the power of endurance over retaliation. These traits are not signs of weakness. They are signs of a heart that is anchored in faith and a mind that understands the value of restraint. Allah elevates the character of those who bear difficulties with grace, and this refinement becomes evident not just to others but also to the person themselves. Another way patience strengthens us is by allowing us to discover what truly matters. Trials have a way of stripping away illusions. When you are in pain, you stop chasing superficial goals and start seeking real peace. You realize that what matters most is not money, recognition, or control, but peace of mind, a heart connected to Allah, and relationships that are rooted in sincerity. Patience shifts your focus from the fleeting to the eternal. It takes you out of the rush of the world and brings you back to what truly nourishes the soul. In the end, patience is not just something you practice when you're desperate. It's a constant discipline that shapes the way you walk through life. It teaches you to be slow to anger, quick to forgive, consistent in worship, and grounded in your purpose. When you understand this, you realize that patience is not a burden, it is a mercy. Allah in His infinite wisdom gives us trials not to destroy us, but to rebuild us stronger than before. So embrace the journey, trust the process, and remember that with every hardship borne with patience, you are rising in rank and growing closer to your Lord. When things don't go according to our plans, one of the most common feelings we experience is frustration. We often begin to wonder why our efforts are not bringing results, why our prayers are seemingly unanswered, or why everyone else appears to be moving ahead while we remain stuck. In these moments, it's easy to lose hope or to assume that perhaps Allah has forgotten us. But in reality, nothing could be further from the truth. Allah's delay is never without wisdom. Sometimes what we perceive as a delay is actually a blessing in disguise, a divine preparation for something greater that we are not yet ready for. Allah is never late, nor does He forget. His knowledge encompasses the past, present, and future, and His plan for each of us is intricately designed to align with what is best for our faith and our lives. When we rush through life trying to force outcomes, we often ignore the unseen harms that could accompany what we so desperately desire. We only see the surface of things, but Allah sees what lies ahead. If something doesn't come to you at the time you expected, it's because Allah in His infinite wisdom knows that either the time is not right or the thing itself is not right for you. Patience in such situations is not just a test, but also a shield. It protects us from stepping into something prematurely and potentially hurting ourselves. This understanding transforms the way we view setbacks and delays. Instead of seeing them as denials, we begin to see them as part of a larger, more merciful plan that is unfolding according to divine timing. Every believer needs to trust that Allah's promises are true. The Qur'an is filled with assurances from Allah that He is with the patient, that He loves those who rely on Him, and that He does not let the efforts of any believer go to waste. This means that no tear is unnoticed, no prayer is unheard, and no pain is meaningless. Even when you see no immediate result, the seeds you have planted through your efforts, your du'as, and your patience are growing in ways you cannot see. Allah's planning is silent, but perfect. Just like a seed grows underground before it breaks through the surface, our prayers and patience are cultivating something within us and around us, even if it's not yet visible. Sometimes Allah delays giving you what you want because He wants to give you something better than what you asked for. Or He wants to test whether your faith is in the gift or in the giver. Are you worshipping Allah only because of what He gives you, or do you love Him even when things don't go your way? This is the essence of true faith. To believe in Allah not just in times of ease, but to continue trusting Him when you're surrounded by uncertainty. That trust is a form of worship. It shows Allah that you are not just after results, but that you seek His pleasure above all else. Another important aspect of divine timing is that it often includes the purification of the soul. Through waiting, through struggle, through unanswered prayers, our hearts become softer, our character improves, and our connection with Allah deepens. We begin to rely on Him more sincerely, and we turn away from the distractions of the world. The delay itself becomes a mercy, even if it doesn't feel that way at the time. When the answer finally comes, we are not the same person who began the journey. We are more mature, more faithful, and more grateful. And that is part of Allah's design for our success. So never be discouraged by the wait. What is written for you will reach you when the time is right. Your job is not to question Allah's timing, but to trust His wisdom. Keep making dua and continue walking your path with patience. When you do this, you are not losing time. You are growing in the most meaningful way. Allah's promise never fails, but His promise arrives only when it is best for you. The lives of the prophets are among the most powerful reminders of what patience truly means and how it leads to eventual success. These were the most beloved individuals to Allah, yet they were tested in the most difficult of ways. Their stories are not simply historical accounts, but are lessons in endurance, trust, and divine wisdom. Take the example of Prophet Ayyub A.S., who was tested with the loss of his health, wealth, and family. His entire world was stripped away from him. Yet his response was unwavering patience. He continued to worship Allah without complaint, and he never questioned the decree of his Lord. In the end, Allah restored everything to him and multiplied his blessings because of his endurance. This example alone shows that no matter how severe the trial, if we respond with patience and sincerity, Allah's reward will exceed anything we could imagine. Similarly, consider the life of Prophet Yusuf, who was betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a well, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned for years. Yet throughout his life, not once did he turn bitter. Not once did he complain to anyone other than Allah. He maintained his good character, his trust in Allah, and his ability to forgive. And what was the outcome? Allah raised him to a high rank, gave him authority in Egypt, and reunited him with his family in the most beautiful way. Every stage of his suffering led him closer to the success that Allah had destined for him. His story teaches us that patience is not just about enduring difficulty. It's about maintaining your values, your integrity, and your faith through the darkness until the light of Allah's promise appears. The story of Prophet Musa also contains many lessons in patience. He faced rejection from his own people, was challenged by the tyrannical Pharaoh, and was placed in extremely difficult circumstances. But he did not give up. He continued to call people to the truth. He trusted Allah even when the sea stood in front of him and the enemy was behind him. When there seemed to be no way out, Allah made a way where there was none. This teaches us that patience is not just an internal strength. It invites miracle. When you stay firm for the sake of Allah, He opens doors that you didn't know existed. Even our beloved Prophet Muhammad was tested throughout his life. He lost his parents at a young age, was mocked and boycotted by his own people, faced physical and emotional harm, and saw many of his companions martyred. Yet he remained patient and optimistic. He continued his mission with love and mercy. He never allowed bitterness or revenge to overcome his heart. His patience brought about the greatest victory in human history, the spread of Islam across the globe, and the transformation of ignorant hearts into lights of faith. The prophets didn't just teach patience with their words. They lived it. Their lives are living proof that patience is not a barrier to success, but the very path to it. Their stories are reminders that the path to greatness is not smooth. It is filled with obstacles, but each obstacle carries a lesson, and each delay is part of a bigger plan. Allah is never absent in our hardships. He is watching, He is planning, and He is nurturing the soul of the believer through every trial. So when we go through struggles, we should remember that we are walking a path that was walked by the best of people. Our patience is not meaningless. It is a reflection of our trust in Allah. And it is the key to unlocking the divine promises that await us. Their legacy of patience should strengthen our hearts, because if Allah never abandoned them, He will not abandon us. Their stories live on to teach us that no trial lasts forever, but the reward of patience is eternal. Patience is not merely about waiting. It is about how one behaves and what one believes while waiting. When Allah tells us in the Qur'an that He is with those who are patient, this is not just a comforting phrase. It is a divine reality. To be patient is to demonstrate that you truly trust the wisdom, timing, and justice of Allah. Life is not always smooth, and challenges are inevitable. We face hardship in different forms: loss of loved ones, health issues, financial stress, betrayal by people, unanswered prayers, and personal failures. These experiences can often make a person feel lost and disheartened. But it is precisely in these moments that patience becomes not just important, but necessary. Patience is what allows a believer to stay firm in faith, even when things don't go their way. It is the ability to trust Allah when the situation doesn't seem to make sense, and to continue believing in His mercy when everything around you seems hopeless. When a person exercises patience, they are making a powerful statement. I trust my Lord. I know He sees me. I know He is aware of what I am going through. I know that there is a reason behind this trial, even if I do not yet understand it. That level of conviction is not easy to maintain, especially when pain is prolonged and relief is not in sight. But this is exactly why patience is so beloved in the sight of Allah. It reflects maturity, faith, humility, and submission to the will of the Almighty. It reflects a believer's ability to resist frustration, to hold back from complaining, and to focus on hope rather than despair. This is not weakness, it is strength. It takes far more strength to be calm in adversity than to break down in panic. It takes more courage to wait for Allah's plan to unfold than to rush toward a solution that may not be right. When Allah says in the Qur'an, indeed Allah is with the patient, He is giving reassurance that such people are never alone. They are accompanied by His special mercy, guidance, and support. This companionship of Allah is not given to everyone. It is reserved for those who bear hardship with perseverance and remember Him in moments of distress. Think of how comforting it is to know that even when the whole world turns its back on you, Allah is still with you, watching, understanding, and preparing relief for you. His presence is not always about immediate solutions, but about silent support that carries you through the storm. Patience also includes resisting sin when tempted, holding your tongue when angry, and avoiding haste when you want immediate results. It applies not just in tragedy, but in daily life. There are moments when you will have the power to act unjustly or to react harshly, but patience holds you back because you trust that Allah will reward your restraint. This is a sign of deep inner strength and discipline. It shows that you are not a slave to your emotions, but a servant of Allah whose heart is anchored by faith. Patience is not a passive state. It requires action. It demands regular prayer, constant remembrance, sincere dua, and trust in Allah's wisdom. A patient person doesn't just wait. They wait while continuing to do good, while praying, while hoping, and while trusting. They do not stop their journey. They just walk it with more calmness and conviction. They seek strength through prayer. As Allah has said, seek help through patience and prayer. The reward of the patient is something that cannot be measured. Allah promises in the Qur'an that the patient will be rewarded without measure, beyond imagination, beyond human calculation. That is because their sacrifice is so great and their endurance so valuable that only Allah can repay it fully. So whenever you feel like giving up, remind yourself that patience is not just about holding on, it is about holding on with belief that Allah's promise is always true.